Georgia Raisman, and this is the Monday Scoop. Today I'm talking with Edward Jackowski, a very well-known exercise guru and author who has been speaking and writing about exercise for many years. His company is exude.com, but he is best known for Escape Your Shape. Here is his early book, which helps us decide what shape we should be in, not just exercising mindlessly. Today we're talking about exercising for people age 55 and over. The mature market. Edward, you have said that the mature market generally is tired, unmotivated, and to a large extent suffering from disease, or to some extent suffering from disease. How do you address that issue? How do you address those issues for that market, and how do you get people going?
Oh, great seeing you again. It's nice to be
you.
here. Thank you. I think the most important thing is to understand that I think when people hit 50, 45, they think their life is over. And their life is over in their mind because their physicality is not where it needs to be. And we do everything that we can. We get our hair dyes, we get our nails done, we get facial work done, and we put a lot of money into that, but we forget the vehicle that we drive around in every day, our bodies. We treat our car better. And we're afraid. It's like, oh, I'm not flexible. Oh, I tried that. Oh, I have a bad back. And what happens is that as we become older, we lose motivation.
How do you counter that kind of objection, though? I mean, that is a very typical objection. How do you counter them?
There are many ways. The first thing you need to do is you need to embrace, meaning the individual needs to embrace that he or she can be in a much better place. The wonderful thing about fitness, properly done, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, is that after the body works out, entire body works out for 1 year, the body acts as if it's been working out its whole life. What a powerful drug, right?
Wow.
And I think if people knew that, they would be more apt to try. And the second reason why they're fearful of injury. It's like, I have a bad knee, I have a bad back, oh, I can't. And people use that as an excuse. Well, the reason why you have a bad back is probably because you have tight hamstrings and lower weak abdominal muscles. And every time you go to work out and tax your abdominal region, you're exacerbating your lower back condition because you were never taught how to properly support your lower back while performing an exercise.
So you feel worse and you think, oh, that's not for me. I can't go doing this. It only makes me feel worse rather than
right,
better.
I better not do that. The other thing that we're not doing is that we are substituting activity for fitness.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, expand on that for me.
Well, we always hear the adage, oh, something is better than nothing. To an extent, yes. All the evidence, and we only work with medical science and evidence. None of this is theory to you and, of course, to all of our viewers and listeners right now. Fitness has 5 components. It has flexibility, cardiovascular, muscle endurance, muscle strength, and body ratio, which simply means how much out of what you weigh is muscle and how much out of what you weigh is fat. So those 5 components comprise what the medical term fitness represents.
Would you run those by me again? I mean, you said them so fast I'm not remembering.
Flexibility.
Okay, flexibility we're going to address later, right? And you're
Yes.
going to show us
I'm going to
some ways
show
of
everyone
staying
how to
flexible.
increase their hamstring flexibility
Okay.
and torso. Then you have cardiovascular.
Okay.
How fit is your heart?
Okay.
Endurance. Muscle endurance is lifting a light object many, many times before you get fatigued. Muscle strength. How much can you lift a heavy object 1 or 2 times? And then what is called body ratio. Body ratio is, hey, I'm 5'5", I weigh 150 pounds, and my body ratio is 40%, which is not good, because what that means is that out of that 150 pounds, 60%, 60 pounds I should say, out of 150 is pure fat.
That's not good.
No, we want to strive, men want to be between the ages of 50 to 85, 90. Men want to be between 20 and 25%, and women want to be between maybe 22 and 27%.
Fat.
Those are those are very realistic goals without having to go on a diet and eat carrots.
How does that get measured? Do you use that that calculator online that makes us all feel so fat, the BMI?
No, the BMI is different. Your BMI does not measure your body fat. That's the one downside of that. For instance, skin calipers are a very accurate way to measure your body fat. There are a lot of things on the market now today where you can grasp a handle, get on a scale. They're not proven to be that accurate, though. So the best way is get submerged in water.
Oh, that's what I thought you were going to say. So you can't just go do that at your health club.
No, or you can have someone at your health club take your body fat with what is called the skin caliper, and they measure certain areas of fat in regions of your body, and then there's a chart. That's probably the most accurate and most affordable that everyone can do.
Sort of being dunked in a tub.
Right. So getting back to this activity and fitness, people walk every day. Yes, you do. But you're not walking fast enough to get your heart rate up to receive the aerobic benefit. So you are receiving a benefit from that walking, but it's probably going to be more muscular and more structural and good for combating osteoporosis if you're working out intensely enough. But because you're not getting your heart rate up, you're not increasing your aerobic capacity, and you're not going to burn calories.
Oh, I know that for sure. I mean, my whole weight loss journey was all about aerobics. It just does not, if I don't do aerobics, it doesn't count. I could walk 6 miles a day, and it would be, at my pace, it would have no difference on my weight,
That's right. So
unfortunately.
people need to look at how they're built. What are their goals? Do I want to lose weight? Do I want to lose mass? Or do I want to gain muscle? So think about it. How could two people with two different objectives do the same exercise routine and both yield the same results? They can't. So as much as we are educated now on the benefits of fitness, in other words, years ago, well, they weren't quite sure. Now they know, without a doubt, that you need to work out, you need to do these things. We're not more educated on the process. That's where we're failing and lacking, because there are not a lot of educational institutions around that teach proper fitness. And the word proper is including those 5 components.
That's interesting. So if you're faced with people who say, okay, I've got arthritis, or I've got diabetes, or I have a heart condition already, how do you help them figure out what fitness is good for them and how they will best deal with their disease but also stay fit as can be?
You have to show them within 30 days
Really?
a benefit
a
to
short-
how they look, feel, and function. We study people's behaviors, and we know that 30 days, no matter what your age, you're willing to stick to something. So here's a perfect example. We talked about the 5 components of fitness. So I'm going to go walk for 30 days. The problem is I have tight hamstrings, I can't get my heart rate up, I have bad knees, so I can't walk that fast because I'm jolting my body. So after 30 days, I did what they told me to do. They said to just walk, but I don't look better. In fact, I feel worse.
So that's not going to work.
Right.
You're going to give
but
up.
You, A for effort, F for completion. So get that person on a recumbent bike, recumbent stationary bike, which is something like this we're sitting in, which is designed for people with bad back and or bad knees. And now you can pedal where your back is supported, your knees are not compromised because of the angle that you're sitting at, and you can pedal really fast without stressing your knee joint, get your heart rate up, burn more calories, and now you're feeling more limber. So there's a perfect example that choosing the right exercise for your goal not only has to match what your body type is, but more equally important, can it be easy on your joints? Because if you do an exercise that's not going to make you feel good, that's cause and reason for your body to shut down. And you should shut down. You should never do anything where you're experiencing deep pain.
So forget the no pain, no gain stuff.
Well, that has to do more with athletes and that phrase, we're like, oh my God, I don't feel like I did anything. Well, it's okay that you don't feel like you did anything. You haven't worked out in a year. You have to gradually build up. We've become a society where we want all or nothing. Instead of, so everyone wants the Z in fitness, but no one wants to go A to B, B to C, because they're not patient. And they're not patient because they don't understand that one thing leads to another. Exercise is cumulative. We talked about how after a year, the body acts as if it's been working out for its entire life.
You have to get to that year.
Right, you got to get to that year. And you have to do it properly for that year. So people that walk or jog or lift weights, they're fit to jog. They're fit to lift a weight, but they're not fit from a medical perspective because they're doing the strength, but they're not stretching. So they have lack flexibility. So if you were to rate yourself on 5 components of fitness, on those 5 areas, flexibility, if you don't stretch, 2 out of 5. aerobic. I don't like aerobic. Who cares what you like? It's what your body needs. We tend to do what we like.
So if you're a sedentary person, if you're an older and sedentary person, as many people are, and you feel kind of tired and you feel kind of worn down, how do you motivate that person to get started? Or maybe they are feeling elements of arthritis in their knees or their shoulders, and they're just not up to thinking about what the first step is, much less the 30 days, much less the year.
Get yourself access to a health club and or order a stationary bike, because you can sit, you can read on the stationary bike, you can watch TV, and you can be moving while you're doing it. That's the best advice to give for people that need to get a little weight off of them. For people that want to strengthen their body, we lose three things as we become older. The first thing we lose is flexibility. The second thing that we lose is the amount of muscle that our body is able to retain. And the third thing that we lose is aerobic capacity.
We lose the amount of muscle that our bodies can retain. Does that mean that even if I'm doing muscle-bearing stuff now, my body just isn't hanging on to it? I have to do twice as much to keep it?
Not twice as much, but it atrophies. So if you already have a frame where you're kind of big and you have a lot of muscle, you need to be doing more aerobic. If you have a very slight frame, you need to be doing more flexibility and more muscle-building movements, like a push-up on your knees, or a push-up up against a wall, or lifting light dumbbells and getting yourself used to moving that way.
This is extremely useful information for older people, and it's not information that you get in the generic gym. Have you written books, have you written articles about this information specifically useful for older adults?
Well, today we're on, when I say we're, I mean our team, but myself as the author. I'm on my 8th book. Years ago, I was the first ever fitness advisor and fitness columnist for Modern Maturity, AARP, when I was only 37 years old. And I wrote about this, and I got thousands of responses.
Really?
And we teach that now, especially range of motion. People don't have a clue as to how to work out. You see people stretching first, wrong. You see people stretching at the end. Might be beneficial, may not be beneficial.
Well, that's just what we were up against. People say, okay, we've got to do lots of aerobics or no aerobics. You have to do yoga, but you can't do that. You should do Pilates. You have to go follow some guru who says, or some celebrity who says, this is what I do, and by the way, I go to spin classes all the time. Or you have to be drinking all sorts of liquids and doing cleanses and starving yourself for 4 days. I mean, how do you figure out what is the basic, fundamental, healthy, and organized way to go about?
Educate yourself. Just like if you were to, perfect example, the recipe, when we cook, and we don't know how to cook something, we look up a recipe, right? So here's a perfect example. I call it cooking the perfect fitness cake. If you were to ask people the 5 components of fitness, and then ask them, okay, what are the 4 major phases and stages of a workout program? Probably 1 out of 1,000 people maybe would be able to answer that question. So if you don't know that you're supposed to warm up before you stretch, and then workload, get your heart rate up, and then cool down at the end, you can't cook the perfect fitness cake. It's never going to rise.
Why is the cool down part important?
It prevents pooling of the blood. Your heart rate, when you stop exercising right away, vigorously, your heart rate drops pretty rapidly.
Yep.
So by cooling down, you're moving still, but now instead of your heart taking major jumps downward, it's taking small increments downward.
And why is that better?
Because it's less stressful to the heart. For instance, warming up. Most people that have a heart attack working out, they're not warmed up. They're on a treadmill. You always hear people dying on a treadmill, right? You never heard of anyone dying on a bicycle, right? Because when you're on a treadmill, you're using 100% of your body weight. So the heart goes boom, 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 boom. And when on a stationary bike, you're using 40 to 50% of your body weight. The increase and increment is a lot
more gradual,
less degree. So your body can get used to it. Like a lot of people get heart attacks shoveling snow.
Yeah.
Because their heart rate goes from 70 to 170. Warming up goes 70, 80, 90, 100. It's lubricating it so that when you put further demands on it, now it's not going from 70 to 150. It's going from 110 to 150.
Yeah.
Much lower risk.
Much lower stress on the heart.
So right. So people are, they're looking at It's like people with a bad back. They go to the chiropractor. They feel good. Oh, I got to get a massage. They're treating the symptom, not the cause. The cause of your bad back is that you can't touch your toes. The more flexible you are, the more range of motion you have, and the less stress to your joints. Getting back to osteoporosis, which a lot of people suffer from, it's a very fine, and anything to do with arthritis. The pain is so severe that the thought of exercising is no way near you. The problem is with people with arthritis, the only remedy is exercise alleviates it.
How does it alleviate it?
Because you're able to tone the muscle and you're able to stretch the muscles out. So instead of the joint feeling all that stress, it's going to the muscles. So the very thought of exercising when you're in pain is the furthest thing from someone's mind. You literally have to take that person by the hand, put them through a routine. They then can remember, oh, I feel a little bit better. But because they don't warm up, stretch, workload, cool down, because they don't have a fitness program with all the 5 components of flexibility, endurance, strength, cardiovascular, body ratio, they never realize the benefit of fitness. So they're getting a C in gym class. We at Exude, we like to teach the A. If you're going to do this, you better get the A in gym class. So a simple thing for stretching is our hamstring flexibility. A lot of people are weekend warriors. They play tennis. Number 1 injury is hamstring pull. Next injury is calf pull. And then the next one is Achilles. And if you warmed up and stretched, you would prevent most of these major injuries.
Okay, Edward, why do we need to be more flexible then? What are the benefits?
Well, there's many, but I'll get into the main ones. First of all, is range of motion and flexibility are married. What I mean by range of motion is people that play a lot of golf, you'll see as they become older, when they draw back the club, their elbow breaks, if you're a righty, on the backswing, and they can't bring the club back because of their shoulder and upper back tightness.
And there must be problems with people who play tennis.
Yes, same thing. So when you have a lot of stress that's going to the joint because of being inflexible, instead of allowing the muscle a fuller range of motion, your sports play can't be fun.
And sports are important even to people over age 55.
Listen, a majority of people playing golf there in our age group and older. Now, it can't be fun going out there and just chopping at the ball.
So since we've learned that flexibility is important, show us, if you can, some flexibility exercises that will make us all better at this.
Sure. The most important stretch we could do for our bodies as we become older and we want to become more fit is hamstring flexibility. Our hamstrings are located behind the back of our legs. Our quadricep is the front of the leg. So how do we do that? Well, we do that by warming up first. I'm already warmed up. And secondly, we stretch what is called statically. We don't bounce. Believe it or not, that's the average male flexibility if they were to keep your legs locked. This is the average woman, and this is where we need to be. And as we get more flexible, we of course can get beyond that. So how do you go from here to there? Well, there are techniques. The first technique is not to bend your legs. The second technique is don't bounce. That's called ballistic stretching. Holding the stretch is called a static stretch. So you cannot touch your toes right now. So instead of forcing it, you can easily grab your socks and use that as an aid and bend from the waist and lean forward. Eventually, you're going to go from here to here to here and beyond. Next up is our spinal twist, it's called, lower back, especially important for golfers when you want to bring that club all the way back and create that club speed. And this is called the simple spinal twist, right over left, right up against your knee. Your leg is straight. Your left elbow is pushed up against your inner knee, and you're going to use that as a fulcrum and turn and twist your body. That will add 20 yards to your golf game, no problem, with your flexibility of your hamstrings, because that's what's taking all the torque. And that's when you hear the phrase fire through, without stretching properly, you can't fire through the ball. And of course, don't forget the other side. And our last stretch that we want to do is called our groin stretch. This is our feet together, You can grab your toes, you can grab your ankles, lean forward, push down. And actually I want to do one more stretch for the quad. So what we want to do is we want to be on our side and we want to grab the left ankle, and instead of putting pressure on the knee by holding it as far as you can against your rear end, hold the ankle and turn the hip out. And now you're stressing the top of the leg instead of the knee joint. And this stretch is critical because today, the way that stretch is taught and done, which is incorrect, you see everyone at the gym standing by a treadmill, standing up and hooking their leg under their knee. Well, they outlawed that about 20 years ago because of the stress that it puts on your knee joint. So that's a lot safer quadricep stretch. So in review, warm up, stretch, get into your workout, take your time, and before you know it, you're going to be fit as a fiddle.
Edward, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today on the Monday Scoop. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like to see me talk about, please get in touch. It's themondayscoop@gmail.com.